Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Talked about this a bit earlier in the week with former Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli. An aspect of the election transparency work that he does, which is cleaning up the voter rolls, because there are a number of states, including, of course, Illinois, where the Department of Justice has interceded because the state isn't maintaining its responsibility to ensure that the voter rolls accurately reflect the electorate, and thus only those eligible to vote in Illinois, for example, are voting. Of course, that's always been a problem, but the difference is now with efforts like Cuccinelli's Transparency Project, as well as Trump's focus on this, talking recently about at least curtailing, if not eliminating altogether. Eliminating altogether is going to be a big lift, but perhaps curtailing some of the vote-by-mail programs that are populated around the country. We've got a good effort afoot to try to improve the integrity of our elections, both nationally and at the statewide level. Well, one is obviously connected to the other. And the Tea Party Patriots are in on this act as well. They are launching a Only Citizens Vote Month bus tour. And this is to support the SAVE Act, Safeguarding American Voter Eligibility Act. They have this radical notion: only American citizens should vote in American elections. Wow. That is going to rankle the left, no question. And they are coming to a town near you. That town is called Orland Park. They'll be here on September 2nd at Crescent Park, 4 p.m. September 2nd, 4 p.m. in Orland Park at Crescent Park in Orland Park, where they'll have a Tea Party Patriots rally. For more on those rallies and the underlying impetus for them, please be joined by Jenny Beth Martin, co-founder of Tea Party Patriots and host of the Jenny Beth Show podcast. Jenny Beth Martin, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me, Dan.
You would think that the idea that only American citizens should vote in American elections is self-explanatory, but in these times it isn't. So why don't you describe the idea behind this bus tour that you're doing and the importance of the SAVE Act?
Yes, so the SAVE Act will require proof of citizenship to register to vote. It is already illegal for non-citizens to vote in federal elections. But the way that when you register to vote through the motor voter law, you only check a box that affirms you are a citizen. There is no requirement for proof of citizenship. And we're trying to fix that. It's pretty simple. 87% of Americans agree only American citizens should vote in American elections for president, Senate, and Congress. The bill has passed the House of Representatives twice, once last year, once last year, which was the last Congress, and once this year in this Congress, but it still has not been taken up in the Senate. So our goal is to bring awareness to the issue and awareness to the bill, and then work to get the bill passed in September, attaching it to an appropriations or continuing resolution bill that would fund the government. And we think that would get it past the filibuster in the Senate.
Really? You'd have Democrats sign on to this idea?
Well, if it is attached to what's considered must-pass legislation, there will have to be some Democrats who vote for appropriations and or a continuing resolution, whatever the final government funding mechanism bill is. Because if they don't, there will be a shutdown on October 1st. And one thing that I've learned, now I'm oftentimes not opposed to a government shutdown personally, but what I've learned is that the elected officials on Capitol Hill do everything they can to avoid a government shutdown. And since I know that that is how they act, then I figured, what can we do that will help us get what we want, since they're going to vote for government funding bills to avoid a shutdown. And that's why we're working on it, and that explains the timing of the bus tour as well.
Yeah, and as you said, 87% of Americans support voter ID. So I mean, this is not really in controversy except within the new Marxist Party, and then they'll vilify this like they do everything as Jim Crow 2.0. But there may be some Democrats and some red states that are getting redder that, you're right, it could be nervous about being on the wrong side of this 80-20 or 90-10 issue, as we saw just recently. Over the last 4 years, New York Times analysis, 4.5 million voter registrations to the positive for Republicans on net, 2.4 for Republicans and 2.1 away from Democrats. And you even had Harry Enton, CNN's pollster jester, talking about the spike in Republican registrations in some swing states like Pennsylvania, where maybe John Fetterman wants to think twice before opposing something like this.
Yes, I think that that is correct. And that is what I'm hoping for, that there will be Democrat senators like in the state of Georgia who maybe they will vote for it. I don't know, but that John Ossoff, he's going to be up for re-election, and that may be something he wants to do. I think John Fetterman is, I think he's a Democrat. I don't think he's a new Marxist. And so what I mean by that is I think he's more like an old school Democrat that we grew up with and is intellectually honest. So he may vote for it. And then we need a few more, but there will have to be something that happens when the spending bills come up for a vote in September to ensure the government is funded beginning on October 1st. And so we're just saying attach it to whatever that is.
And do you think, you think that this is a priority for the Trump administration, such that they will put political capital at stake to try to pass this?
I don't know. I don't have insight into that answer. The White House is aware of what we're doing. We let them know. What I do know is this: the president has an executive order where he wants only citizens voting. Right. The election Accountability Commission is trying to change the form so that we would require proof of citizenship, but that change can be undone if the law is not changed in the future by a future administration. And the president, just a week and a half ago, posted on Truth Social about other election integrity measures that he wants to see happen. So I know he is very concerned about election integrity, and this is one small piece of a big election integrity is very big, so it's one small piece of the whole of election integrity that is already written. It's a very short bill. It's very defined. It doesn't have a budgetary impact, and it unites Americans, regardless of whether they're Democrats or Republicans. Americans agree we should only have Americans voting in our elections. So I think that it's something we have a real chance of accomplishing this goal.
I wonder if you could just give some perspective, co-founder of the Tea Party Patriots, Jenny Beth Martin, we're speaking with, the Tea Party, this sort of spontaneous order that occurred in response to Obamacare, this revolt of American citizens that took place, and Tea Parties formed around the country, and different sort of umbrella Tea Party organizations as well, like yours. And now some 15 years later, the effort persists. I'm sure there's been some metamorphoses along the way, but what's your perspective on the Tea Party movement, looking back at the last 15 years, sort of the journey and where it is today?
Well, I think that a lot of the goals that we were working on from the very beginning, we're seeing accomplished right now in this Trump administration. With the rescissions package that was introduced and approved by Congress, the defunding of NPR is something that we had worked on for many years. And I think we're going to continue to see more rescissions, more cuts in government spending, and work to grow the economy. And we started because we were opposed to the stimulus bill that President Obama had on top, which was on the heels of the TARP bill that George W. Bush had.
Yeah.
And then after that stimulus bill, we had the Obamacare, as you were talking about, and it's just more government spending, more government growth, big government, big spending. And now with President Trump, we are seeing a return to a more constitutionally limited government. I think that one thing I've learned and that I appreciate, even though it frustrates me, is that change in America takes a long time to happen. And our Constitution is designed to make that change be a slow process. And we learned during COVID, when change happens rapidly, it creates chaos and tyranny. And so even though it takes a long time to accomplish our goals, I appreciate the fact that we have a constitutional system that protects our freedom and guards against chaos and tyranny.
Yeah, well said. I almost forgot about the stimulus, the Obama stimulus package, where where shovel-ready projects became a punchline. Gosh, boy, the good old days, and the good old days when stimulus packages were less than $1 trillion, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jenny Beth Martin, she is the co-founder of Tea Party Patriots and host of the Jenny Beth Show podcast. Again, the Only Citizens Vote, a month-long bus tour, and this is kicking off. Well, this has kicked off, I should say, and it is coming to Illinois September 2nd. So that would be Monday, right? Labor Day? Tuesday. Oh, Tuesday. Sorry, Tuesday. And it's at Crescent Park in Orland Park, September 2nd. Tuesday, September 2nd, Crescent Park in Orland Park. TeaPartyPatriots.org for more information on the Only Citizens Vote bus tour. Jenny Beth Martin, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you in Orland Park.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Jenny Beth Martin joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available